So I just want to get Shaz on first. So, because no one wants to listen to us, man. Oh, they can see us. Hello. And they can all hear us. Here's Shaz.
Here's the man.
Okay, we got his audio.
I don't hear a lot.
Okay, we're just gonna get Shaz on.
Have we got 500 people watching us doing nothing?
Pretty much, yeah. Cheers. It's not 8 o'clock yet, to be fair.
True. Well, good evening, everyone.
Oh, here he is. There he is.
There's the fella.
There's the man. That's the guy.
How are we doing?
That's the guy that no one wants to see me and Grant. They all want to see you. Terrible.
I'm not sure about that.
Nice to meet you finally.
I know. What strange circumstances to meet like on a Zoom like this publicly.
Oh, I know.
How many people have we got?
We got loads. We got loads and loads and loads.
Okay,
we got almost getting up to 600. We've got that registered, and the number that's going up is getting higher and higher as I speak right now.
Have we got a couple of minutes still?
Let's give it a couple of minutes because it's just hit 8 o'clock now. So let's give it a couple of minutes to start up. Grant, do you want to introduce Shaz, or am I going to do it?
You go for it. I'm going to sit and enjoy it for a little while. I'm going to get myself all adrenalified for all the questions I've got ready to fire.
Also, I don't trust Grant's intro either. So, Jazz, please.
Don't trust Grant at all in any way, shape, or form.
Since we're waiting to do an intro, you see, this. I said to my wife earlier, I said, look, we're interviewing Shaz, and I said, he sent me this book. Here's the book, guys. So I says, I've got to read his bloody book now. So the last 2 days, I've crashed through this book, and do you know what? I have thoroughly enjoyed it.
Oh,
and
wow.
do you know what it is? And I've learned so much from it. But I tell you, it was so fun. I went back to my wife and said, I actually thoroughly enjoyed it. So listen, it's a belated thank you for sending this. What is lockdown?
Yeah.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
That really is amazing.
Thank you, Grant. Appreciate that.
But so everyone, that's the one. Very, very good. So I did enjoy it.
That's it. That's the good part, Shaz. Now
here we go.
It goes downhill from here. Someone's saying, what's the name of the book, Grant? Just give them the name. Instagram for Dentists. You must have heard of it on social media or on Instagram.
What I liked, it starts. What I liked about it, to be honest, was it starts easy and basic, and then it builds. And so I'm on now developing my story. So which I'm going to ask you a bit later on, Shaz, is about my stories, because I haven't sussed out using my story and the benefits of it. So there's quite a few questions I want to ask about Instagram. So I'm on that bit now, but it is a good book, nice and simple to start with, and it does build an interest. So it's very, very good. So my stories is something I'm going to be asking about a bit later on.
Yeah, Shaz used to do a course on Instagram. I remember I went on that one-day course. It was a phenomenal course, really was. I'm not sure if he still does them, but this is before the book came out, and it was excellent. Yeah. And my aim is, if he brings out another edition of the book, is I want to get in the book. I'm not in the book yet. I've read it. I've been on his course, and now I really want to get in the book. So I'm begging.
I don't know if it'll sell 2,000 more copies or 2,000 less, but we can give it a good chance.
Probably 2,000 less if I'm in it. So let's get started. I mean, the first thing before we do anything is when I got to know Shaz. This has been a few years now, and he is one of the most nicest people and humble person that I know in dentistry. Sorry, Grant. But he is such
humble or nice, you're all right.
But he really is, and I've known him now for a while, and not just the work he does for us is amazing. I've got my website from him. He does my SEO. Any time of day I can ask him for advice. I'm messaging him, and I really do feel really bad sometimes, and I'm like bugging him like all sorts of hours, but he's instantly responding. He really is one of the nicest guys in dentistry. We are really honored to have him over here on these webinars that we do every month, Taylor to Dentists, me and Grant. But we are so honored to have you on here, Shaz. It really is humbling for us. So thank you for being here. One of the things I do want to do before we start is play a little video. So because this is one of the many things that Shaz does, is I'm going to play a little video because I know I'm going to forget at the end and I know we're not going to have time. So I thought I'd play this video right at the beginning. And this is just one of the things that Shaz does. So I'm going to just play this and I'm going to share my screen. So just give me a minute and let me share my screen. There we go. And here we are. And share. And I'm going to put that on full screen now. Can you see my screen, guys?
Yep.
Good. So let's just play that. It's 1 minute. Fantastic. It's a great project that you've started there, Shaz. And I know it's going from strength to strength. So, you know, from what you've achieved in such a short amount of time, it really is amazing.
What made you do that, Shaz? What, I mean, you know, what led you down that road to do that particular? I mean, it's obviously needed. It's brilliant. But what led you to that? What brought your attention to that?
I think the issue I had, Grant, was that I wanted to give to charity, but like many friends and family members, there's, you know, charity's got this view, this image where, you know, the money doesn't reach the destination in full. And you can sort of digest the admin costs, but it gets so much bad press that paralyzed me from giving. And it's only really when I became a parent, like my daughter's 4 years old now, but it's only really when I became a parent to a young girl that I sat down once and I thought, how much do we actually do to cushion this one child from a car seat? They just need to say, this is a bit safer and we'll easily shell out another £100. And we're constantly doing this. And we live in this sort of bubble. And I just felt that it's so unfair that there are other children out there with parents who can't do even a fraction of what we can do. Yet they're having to walk in the blazing heat for hours and hours and hours. And they just have to do it. And they do it with a smile on their face. So I wanted to start something for a very long time. I wanted to help children. And it kind of just all fell into place once I had my daughter. So, I mean, there's a deeper story of how I found the wheel, etc. But ultimately, it was about giving transparently. So every time we get £1, my guys on the ground deliver wheels. And in India, there's this thing. I've helped people in India in the past where a young couple, for example, they had a child. And I heard about it. And someone told me through a friend of a friend, family member. So I paid someone over there to get them a cot and get them all the essentials that you would need when you have a child. So they delivered this, and then we heard on good authority that they had sold it the very next day, all of it, because they rather have the money, because they rather have that to eat and survive than to have these essentials, which they don't. So I just thought, even if we get these wheels to them, if they sell these things, they're giving it to another family that needs a wheel. It felt like such a safe thing to do. So, and that's really where it started. And it started with us pledging that every project that we do, we're going to give a wheel. And then the dental profession has been so supportive. The amount of children we've been able to reach as a result of the support from the dental profession is, there's thousands of girls now going to school because they're not collecting water. So I'm so grateful. A lot of people watching this today have donated or helped in some way. I'm so grateful. And Jazz, you've done a lot as well. So I'm so grateful. Thank you.
I mean, you have got such a big following, and you are the nice guy of dentistry. I mean, how from, I was reading a little bit about you, which was interesting. You started in a garden shed. Is that right?
That's right. Yes.
So how did you get from? You got to tell us, a little bit of how you got from the shed with Zed. It was Zed, wasn't it? Your first employee that you couldn't
Oh,
pay.
is that what you were asking on chat? We're talking to
This is what he does. He does this all the time.
He does his homework. This one. Yeah,
Like
Zed.
like the Steve Jobs.
Listen, I don't want to bore our listeners. I've got to know about you before I ask about all sorts of questions about Instagram.
These guys want to know about Instagram, Grant.
I want to know about Shed and Zed and how you got to where you're obviously being able to provide this. In the privileged position you're in to be able to give these amazing things back. So, how did you get from that Shed and Zed to where you are, 23 employees?
I'll try and fast track this.
Don't leave anything out, mate. We'll get in there. Don't you worry.
Yeah. Okay. Fine. So I've got 2 older brothers, and they're graphic designers. So when I was growing up, and the age gap is 10 years, right? So when I was growing up as a young child, by the age of 5 or 6, my elder brothers, they were designing leaflets using something called Letraset. Letraset are like little tattoo type transfers. So if you wanted to make a leaflet, if you wanted to write Grant on a leaflet, you'd get the G, scribble it down, R, scribble it down, and it transfers. And I would see them produce this amazing piece of artwork before the dawn of computers, and then they got a computer. So I'm seeing all of this. And when they would go to uni or college, whatever it was at the time, I would play with their stuff. So growing up, I was immersed in design. So by the time I got to the age of 18, it was like I could do what they could do, really, because it was all happening at home in front of me. So I was in maths class, and I knew design is something I wanted to do. And I came up with Digimax. I mean, after a few names, I had a few others, which was Digital Design Maximum Effect. So I merged the two. And the D that you see actually behind me, the D that you see behind me is actually, I actually drew that in maths class, and I've used it until today. So it started off from there. And then I went to uni. I was doing a degree in e-commerce, but really I was just doing it to get it done because it's a thing that we do. Parents put you through it. I'm glad I did it. I made a lot of contacts, but every time I'd finish class, I'd go back home in this garage that I'd converted using student loan, and I'd start working on these projects that people had given me. And I must admit, I was on an absolute high because I was quite good. I had so much experience because I'd learned from my brothers who are professionals. So when I'm doing this work for people, they're getting so happy, like small business owners, they're telling everyone, and I'm loving it. So I'm working in the garage from the minute I finished uni, I'm straight into my work. All my friends are looking for work, and I'm churning out all these designs until I get to this point where I've got so much work that I can't keep up. I'm not answering calls. I'm not replying to people. And I'm starting to get depressed, to be honest, because I'm not enjoying designing anymore. And I was kind of stuck that what do I do now? I'm getting the work. I've got everything I possibly wanted. I don't want to be ungrateful because my friends are saying to me that you're so lucky you can work for yourself. Yeah, I can't keep up. And I was under the impression that these people are coming to me for me. No one can design like me. And it took me many, many years to understand that actually it's not about that. You can train people. You can still produce a level of design work that, you can push out like associates, etc. to a degree. So just fast tracking a little bit further because it gets a bit deeper. I got my first dental client. I think it was about 2007. So I started Digimax officially in 2003, 2007. And look, I was a bit younger, so I was a bit cocky because I was, I was always being put on a pedestal, and everything I was putting out was great. What makes you think
you've changed?
I didn't say that, Jazz. I didn't say
that. By cocky, I mean like overconfident. Like anytime I push out a design, I thought, yeah, I don't even need to think about that. Those nerves have gone. Are they going to like it? Are they not going to like it? I was confident. So I got my first dental client, and he said, can you make me a leaflet to promote dental implants? It's a profitable service for me. I've moved into this particular area. I've heard so much about you. Can you produce this leaflet? I'm laughing because I remember it's just so different now, my understanding. And I said, well, sure, send me the details and tell me what you want. And he said, I want to promote dental implants. They're going to be $9.95 per implant. And yeah, I mean, that's the offer. And he said, I want it to stand out, and we're going to distribute in everyone's home. And I was like, yeah, we can do it. I've done it before. I've done this for an estate agent. and he's just ignoring all that. And he gave me this information. The best part of it was that he was going on holiday, and he said, look, I trust you. It's so simple. Can you just get it done? And then we're going to distribute it. And because nothing had ever gone wrong before, like I said, I was overconfident. So I designed this red flyer, dental implants, 995. It was just the opposite of everything. If GDC saw this today, I mean, that's it. You get struck off and I'll probably go to jail. It was terrible. And they printed it. I did exactly what he asked me to, okay? They printed it, they delivered it. 2 weeks later, he calls me up and he's shouting at me. It's inaudible how loud he's shouting, because I'm like, has you called the wrong person? Because like, I can't do anything wrong here. He said, you've embarrassed me. I've had 4 people calling me up that looks like blood. And I'm shaking. I cannot believe what I'm hearing. If he had gone on 1 minute longer, I would have started crying. Like, it was that bad. And I said, look, let me go. I called him back 1 hour later. And I said, can you just tell me what went wrong? I did what you asked me to. And he says, yeah, I didn't expect it to be like this. So I said, look, let me get this right. I'll pay for everything. I don't even know why I offered that. I said, I'll pay for everything. And he said, I don't care about that. The damage is done. I said, please, can I spend some time with you to understand a bit more about your practice? So I want to fix this. And he went silent for a good sort of 45 seconds. He was still angry. And he said, yeah, fine, come in from such and such day. I stopped everything. And I was at the practice for 3 weeks, every single day. And I think he liked it. And I was asking him questions. And that's when I realized that designing for a dental practice is nothing like any of these other businesses that I've ever worked for. It was about talking about the outcome. And so that was one of my best learnings. And that's really how I got into dentistry.
Is that how you started Digimax Dental then? And you moved from Digimax and then just focused?
Yeah, so it's only after I got another client and I thought this is a niche, I could get into this. And that's when I started Digimax Dental on the side.
You've had some big clients, haven't you?
Sorry?
You've had some big clients.
Yeah, so I carried down the Digimax journey. Digimax Dental was just, I left it to run. If dental practices noticed us, they'd call us. So the dream is when you're a designer and you're starting out, the dream is to do big work. And my dream was to do work that people would see on billboards and work for famous people. So I pursued that. I got out of the garage because my brother, who's got a bit more experience than me, he had a few designers at the time. He said, you got to stop telling yourself that you're the only one that can do this. I feel it was never money for me. When someone would trust me with a project like this, it was about delivering. My satisfaction came from Grant calling me up and saying, oh, Shaz, that was the adrenaline rush for me. So, and I always wanted to maintain that. It wasn't about money because I was making quite good money for someone who's just left university. My issue was the minute I start hiring people and all, will I be able to afford it? He said, just do it. What's the worst that's going to happen? You're not going to be able to pay them, then you're going to be able to let them go. So I said, that's fair enough. So I got my first employee, found him on Gumtree. He worked in the back of my garage. He's still a very good friend to today. He just got married, he invited me.
Was that Zed?
That's Zed.
Zed, yeah. Zed, yeah.
We want to know who Zed is now.
Zed, actually, we're veering off a little bit, but Zed, when he went into the company, so he left this job for a full-time job after working for me for many years. And bless him, there was no washroom in the back office. He never once used to go into my house. Like, he just worked under this climate. It was a nice office because, well, it was basic, but it was acceptable. He never once sort of had an issue. He never made me feel that I've given him less. And I love him for that. So he went on to work in an insurance company where they were paying him a lot more. And he called me up and he said, Shaz, I cannot believe it. I'm a god in this company. What you've taught me, what I've learned with you, I can do more than 5 of these departments combined. I know so much. So Zed, yeah, I'm still in touch with him. I thank him so much. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I've got loads of questions to ask you about the Instagram and the websites and stuff. But one last question is how you got into SEO. Is it true it was about you selling TV wall brackets to Tesco's?
Absolutely true. Absolutely.
You are kidding me. I thought that'd be absolute rubbish, really. So what happened there?
No.
Every little helps, right? That's their slogan, right? Every little helps.
Yeah, no, I mean, we did sell to Tesco, but it was an online e-commerce store. So for all the listeners out there who don't know anything about this, whilst I was going down this process of, learning to design websites and building websites for all types of industries. You always think, what if I could have a business like one of my clients that does so well? And it was an age where I was quite enthusiastic, and I had a friend who was happy to do the back office for me. And I went to a store, and I bought my first TV. I think they were LCD TVs back then, it was plasma back then. And I went to Dixon's, and I just had enough money for the TV, and then I added a bracket on. I didn't even look at the price because it's just a piece of metal. I thought, what's it going to be? 30, 40 pounds at best. She added another 200 pounds on the bill. And I said, what, for the bracket? Have you made a mistake? She said, no, it's 180 pounds. It was a Vogel's bracket, VOGELS. And I said, have you got anything cheaper? I just said, no, this is it. Because they know if you're going to spend £2,000 on the TV, you're spending £200 on the bracket.
That's exactly how dentists feel about VAT.
With what?
That's how we dentists feel about VAT.
Oh, really? Yeah. I know VAT is a horrible word for you guys. So I had to put it back. And I was annoyed. And the TV was not looking how I wanted it to. And I kept thinking, it's just metal. And I started designing my own bracket. I contacted China, got quotes for it. They said, wow, we will make this for you. After everything, it would be like £6. I went on.
Hell,
yeah, it was £6 to make one. I designed the boxes. They looked amazing. And I put in an order for a full container. So all the money I'd actually saved, I haven't wrote this in my story, all the money I'd saved, almost all of it, I think it was about £21,000, 18 grand of it went into this container. But I believed in it so much, I thought, I can't be the only one who thinks £200 for a TV bracket is too much. So made this website, put these TV brackets on for £40. And then I just waited. And no one bought. I waited a bit more, right? And my friend, who has committed to being the back office, and I've sold him this big story, is like, okay, what do we do now? Yeah, let's do some pay-per-click. So back then, Google pay-per-click, it was a little bit more affordable, but it's still expensive. So for every, I think, what was it? Every £1,000 that we spent, we would make £1,000 profit. So it started off with £200. We got to £1,000, which was a lot back then for us. And my friend Harry, he said to me, Shaz, if we just increase this to £2,000, does that mean we'll make £2,000 profit? And I said, I don't know. Shall we try it?
Like you, Jazz.
This wasn't Harry Singh, was it?
No, not Harry Singh. So we tried this. Lo and behold, we made £2,000 profit. We thought, bloody hell, what's going to happen if we put it to 10 grand? Anyway, then the problem started to show. Customer service, inquiries. It was just like we were learning so much. Eventually it got to a point where there were so many people copying us and they're catching on. And, even the factory that I was using, they started selling my design to other people. It got competitive, but we had a bit of a head start. So we had to drop pay-per-click because for every £1,000 we spent, we maybe made £200. But we had lots of orders, which meant lots of customer service. And that's when I had to start looking into SEO. And as a designer, to learn about something technical, it's quite a big deal because it's a frame shift from pretty things to technical things.
Yeah.
But because there was so much money invested, and the saddest thing for me was my friend who had trusted me, I couldn't let him down, right? If it was just me, I could be lazy about it, but I had to fix it. So I spent all my hours. I remember my mother, she's quite old fashioned. So she's got this belief that if you're in the garden, like a ghost can possess you. So when I was there till 4 a.m. in the morning, she used to be phoning me or even knocking on the window saying, come in, I don't want you to get possessed. So that's where the learning happened, really.
We've got a few questions.
I don't know if you know about this sort of stuff.
We've got a few questions from the audience. Who was your biggest influencer growing up? And how many mentors do you have now?
I love that question. So look, my earliest influences were, and this is before like social media was a thing, were my brothers. I learned everything from them. They gave me a lot of support, a lot of love, and it was a relationship because I was a bit younger. It's a very nurturing relationship, even is now, except the tables have turned. I help them now, right? So they were my first influencers. But really, I would say I had two main people that I was quite impressed with. One of them was James Caan from Dragon's Den. And when I saw him on the den, I just really liked the way he conducted himself, carried himself, the way he did business. And I then eventually managed to get through to him and won his work. So I was doing work for James Khan. The other one, and I might get penalized for this, saying it publicly, was Max Clifford before he got in trouble for being a naughty boy, right? He was a very well-respected PR guy. And I just thought all the celebs trust him, Simon Cowell, Cheryl Cole, and all of them.
Yeah, they did.
They did. And I managed to break down some doors and get through to him it took about 6 months. And then he started trusting me with his own brand and his own websites. But I only did that. I didn't charge him much, almost nothing, so that I could learn from him until, of course, all that horrible stuff happened. But those two really stood out to me, and they helped me a lot.
So you've rubbed shoulders with some famous people then?
Yeah, I have, but I had to really set them on my target list.
Yeah.
That's right.
I mean, can I fire a few questions at you that I know from a dentist's point of view they'd be interested in? It's particularly with Instagram. I get a lot of people that will say, look, you know, I've got an Instagram account and I know absolutely nothing about it. So there's a couple of things. One is, what the hell's a hashtag? And what shall I put in my bio to get immediate interest? In other words, you might have to even explain what a bio is to some of the listeners.
Sure. So let's start with bio. The bio is the first few lines. Anyone who opens your account, that's the first thing that will hook them. And it's something I talk about in my book, but it's a very important part of your Instagram account. In some respects, I'd say it's probably the most important to some degree after your picture. So the bio is the first 3 lines. So when someone's looking at that, very quickly they need to understand what you do, where you are, and anything else that you can fit in between, because your bio needs to stand out. There's millions of profiles on this, so your bio is just a few lines, and there is a character limit. Yeah, and Jazz is just showing you that there. So most people know what it is, but it's a bit slightly ignored because you think, what should I put in there? Dentist, my website. So I'd say, you know, your location is so important. A lot of people miss that out. And what you
I changed that last night after reading your book, by the way.
Yeah.
You told me that about 6 months ago. I changed it as well.
I get so many messages from dentists. I click on their profile because they're asking me about various things on Instagram. I don't know if he's in Singapore or Southall. I need to know without working, because I'll just leave otherwise.
Yeah.
So that's the bio. Hashtags are little tags. I'm just going to try and simplify this. Are little tags that you can put on any post which allow you to be found by the Instagram audience at large. So obviously you might have followers that know you or you know them, but someone could be following a hashtag such as Invisalign, right? If they're following this hashtag, any post that you make with that hashtag in there, there's a chance that Instagram is going to show them your post. Now, I would say things have changed a little bit. Hashtags are still a thing, but everyone's telling me, and even from my own experience, that the algorithm has changed a little bit. Those days have gone a little bit where you can put a hashtag in and you get all these random people finding you. It doesn't work like that as much, really.
So when would you post? When would you say to the dentist, look, well, all right, what to post and when to post? This is like for the beginners. What would you recommend?
What time?
So look, I mean, I've got my book handy. I've got a double page on here. I will tell you what you don't need to worry about. So a lot of dentists tell me, I haven't got my pictures sorted out yet. My cases aren't perfect yet.
Yeah.
Oh, I really must get my before and afters in order, and then I'm going to use Instagram. I'll say, please stop thinking like that, please, because all your patients already believe you can do all the work that you see on Instagram, all the stuff that you need to go on a lot of courses, have a lot of experience for. Your patients are giving you the benefit of the doubt. They actually believe that all dentists, more or less, except for the very informed patient, can do the same thing. They don't need to keep seeing smiles constantly. They want to connect with you as a person and go behind the scenes of the business. So I know lots of people, especially during lockdown, where they took my advice and they stopped posting, offers and before and afters. I told everyone to be sensitive. I said, just post about you. And so many people messaged me after saying, I did not post one case, yet I've got so many people waiting to see me. So what you can post, I'm just going to quickly go through this. You can post events that your anniversaries, key oral health events, birthdays, training, people pictures get the most likes, whether it's you, your team, anyone you're interacting with, they will get the most likes. Actual pictures of people, anything new, showcase anything new, tutorials, sneak peeks, focus on brands that you endorse, connecting with nature, your why. That's an important one. If you share your why, people connect with that. They really want to get to know you. And from the websites that we design, one of the pages that gets clicked the most is the team. And I've seen that people have spent 4 minutes on a team page, while as 20 seconds on a treatment page for the very same website. So connect. It's social media. The accounts that are most active and get the most engagements are ones which show you the real side of it. Those type of posts about brushing tips and how to floss and all that, they have their place, but it's been done so much. And really, look, I wrote this book out of anger. Okay, a lot of services that we offer at Digimax, I feel,
I love this.
either we want to be the best at them or we're not going to do them at all. And everyone said, when all this was kicking off, guys, can you just handle my Instagram account? And we said, no, we could easily offer this, but we just know that if we do that, 3 months later, they're going to stop because they're not going to see the engagement.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah.
And we're going to look bad. So many of my clients and friends, they went to different agencies for different things, and they just stop after 2 months because they see it doesn't do anything. So there's so much you can post. It doesn't have to be teeth.
Questions come up, and it said from Jonathan, it says, "Oh, Grant, that goes against all your principles," because that's all I posted before and afters. I don't post anything else.
Yeah.
But I'm in a very different area. I think, where I am, there's a lot of people that don't offer the services that I offer. So that is all I post. And I could probably do a lot better. But I do seem to get a lot of patients from Instagram from it. No, it's not necessarily a principle. I think that I'm lazy with what I post on Instagram. I've got loads of before and afters, and I just keep dishing them out and putting the hashtags in. And, I don't think I put enough heart and soul into it, but I do get return from it.
You will, because that is your service. But I would say, if you just uncover that a little bit, show more of yourself, because you've got a fantastic story. Who knows what that might do for you?
I feel a bit exposed doing that, though. I got a bit nervous. I don't know if I'm ready for that.
You are, mate. You are. You're doing this, aren't you? Jazz, sorry I interrupted you, mate.
Okay. People are asking about videos. What videos do well on Instagram, and what do the audience want to see?
So Instagram stories, I would say, is a brilliant place for videos. 15-second clips. If you don't know what stories are, stories on the top left of your Instagram account, so there's two things you can post on Instagram. An actual post. A post is something which you often overthink because you want it to look nice once it's in your feed, and it's got to match with your other pictures sometimes. So a post is something which you can spend a little bit more time on if you want to get the hashtags right. But with Instagram stories, you could quickly just take a pan of just this webinar and post it up. People aren't expecting it to be a Steven Spielberg production. So videos are a massive, massive, massive part of Instagram, and there's IGTV as well. But at minimum, if you're going to be posting videos, I would say start with stories. You can do them very quickly, and no one's going to judge you too much on it not being perfect or in it being in line and all the rule of thirds. Just get started, and you'll just pick up momentum from there.
That makes sense. That makes a lot. Team pages have always been #1 page to land on, and fees second. Yep, that's what it's fees. I don't think it's second. It comes further down. What do you think?
It varies. So from all the clients that we've got, we've seen that they all do quite well. Smile Gallery, fees, and team. Each practice will have a slightly different, importance over it. So it depends on how your site is designed as well. If you've made one page more accessible than the other. But these three are always the top when we look at rankings, always the top.
If someone likes you, how can you decide whether it's worthwhile? Because there is a limit, isn't there, for the number of people who can follow? How do you work out whether that person is a decent person to follow back? So say a patient has liked you. How do you work out who's good and who's bad? See,
following back, you've got to ask yourself, why do you want to follow? Are you doing it to make them feel good?
Yeah.
Or are you to make them feel good?
Yeah.
Look, I would say don't follow anyone back unless you actually want to see their content. Okay. Follow only the accounts where you might want to repost, or if you feel that you want to say thank you to them, there's lots of ways you can do that. You can send them a direct message to say thank you for the follow, or you can do a shout out, a bit like what you do, Grant, in your groups. You do a post saying thank you to all our new sort of people in the group. This is what it is. If you keep following people, the number of people you're following on your Instagram account goes up, and you might end up with more people you're following than they are following you, and it looks quite imbalanced. So I definitely don't do sympathy follows. I only follow people who I actually want to see content from.
Right, I'm going to go and see if you're following me.
Oh shit! Where's my phone?
You ain't bloody following me.
I will now, eh? I will.
Following me, Grant, so tough.
And so, do you think people should buy follows to make themselves look good? And if not, why not?
No, I think that's a bad idea. It's a vanity game. I guess there are lots of people who have lots and lots of followers, and I think their goal is sometimes something else. It's not about building a brand which that is very busy with patients who are local. Often it's more than that. They want to look like an influencer, or they want to be on a training circuit for dentists, or it can be lots of reasons. But the problem with buying followers, obviously, it's against the Instagram policy, but we know people do it. Two, it does look quite bad. It's quite obvious when someone's got fake followers, because you could put up a post. I know someone who's got about 30k followers. They put up a post and they get 20 likes. How is that possible? So it's you can end up looking quite silly. I've got a follow back trick. I can tell you more about it now. It's in my book. It works. I would say followers are vanity, engagement is sanity. That's what I would say.
Can I mention that? So would you, so for example, there are people out there that have got lots of followers. There's some fantastic dentists out there. And if you want someone to follow you and increase the number of followers, would you go on their wall and like their photos? Does that work? To get
go on whose wall?
So if you have if you've got dentists out there that have got lots and lots of followers, would you go on their wall and like their photos? So when you are liking their photos, they'll see that and they'll follow you back. Is that something that you would advise?
I see. I hear what you're saying. So look, that's one strategy if you want them to follow you back. But we've got to look at this. A lot of practice owners or associates are looking to get more traction from Instagram to ideally get the type of patients that they want. So we've got to keep that in mind when we're doing all of this. We definitely don't want to just be playing with numbers or doing things that don't get us to that goal. So I guess I speak for the majority when I say we want more patients, and more of the type of patients that you feel would be right for your practice, or for, if you're an associate, the brand that you're trying to build. So I've got a follow back trick, and we started this with an actual high street brand when we were doing Digimax work, non-dental. It's a high street restaurant, which is, I think it's got about 20 locations in and around London. And their competitors were the likes of, so they had zero followers, likes of Patisserie Valerie, Starbucks, they do cakes as well. There's Italian restaurants. So what we did is we looked at every single Instagram account. Anyone who would go to Patisserie Valerie would be an ideal client for them. So we went into every follower. So you can click on followers, got the followers list for Patisserie Valerie, any account that was not private. We looked at 3 of their pictures and we liked them. And doing that as a strategy, we had an Excel file. We increased their following to, I think it was about 22,000, because it's a big chain, within a matter of months. But the important thing here is every single one of those followers was interested in cakes, or an Italian restaurant, or all the other things that they offered. So the audience was actually engaging with them. They were buying, they were booking. And that was the clever thing about this.
Would you recommend this? I know one of the things I do and we've done, and it has worked. So for example, your local businesses, so do a search for hashtags, Zaman Slough, hashtag Slough businesses. So loads of the local businesses would come up and you like their photo, similar to what you're saying, and then they'll follow.
Absolutely.
So you get,
absolutely,
because their clients are going to come to you as well.
Yeah, absolutely. You're doing absolutely right. Something absolutely right, Jazz. I would say, but just go one step further and turn this into a system. So make a list of all the local businesses that could have an Instagram account. And I'm thinking spas, cinemas, restaurants, right? Definitely don't do it with your local dental practice, because it's not cool and you get found out. It's just not nice. So do it with every other type of business. Get a list. Then go and start liking pictures of people who are following those businesses. But there's an order. You need to make sure your profile So something I talk about is the power of 9. What your Instagram profile looks like, the bio, the first 9 squares, your username, does it say have your area in it? You know, all those type of things. Make sure you look correct. So when they get this heart icon pop up, and there's a lot of research been done that there's a dopamine release, neuroreceptors in our mind immediately just give us that feeling, you know, that craving, that feeling we get when we have a chocolate bar, you know, that really good feeling. You get that, you're giving that to someone, they're immediately checking your account. And at that point, you've got a millisecond whether you've got their attention, whether they follow you back or not. So this does work, but you got to make sure your account looks like an account that you would want your ideal client to follow.
Absolutely. I think that has worked really well, what you just said. That's one of the key things that I learned on your course. So I'm glad we got that out and people can really do that to increase the number of followers. I really think that's going to work for them.
I would just say, don't be lazy about it. You got to be all in with this. We do it with our charity, 30 minutes a day. That's our goal. We do it 30 minutes a day and it works.
How do you feel about when patients come through the... Sorry, Jazz. Sorry, mate. You okay, Jazz?
I do that, but I tell my nurse to go on our Instagram account and do that every evening for an hour.
Someone in the organization, absolutely. Brilliant.
When patients come to the door, and we probably all know the type, but in my area, there's a few influencers. Now, my first question will be, what do you think of influencers? And, you know, do you think the influencers who have about 10,000 followers are better than the ones who have 150,000 followers? The 10,000 seem more grateful and seem to do more for you than the 150,000 who usually end up saying, I didn't promise I'd post 3 posts a month. So I seem to I use a lot of the 10,000 mark quite a lot. What's your experience or your advice for that?
Okay, so first we've got to see, is this an authentic influencer? Okay, in 10,000, someone who's got 10,000 followers or that sort of circa, they're a micro-influencer. So micro-influencers is a massive market. And a lot of big brands have been employing micro-influencers because like you just said, Grant, they have more reach, more impact because they've got usually a niche following. So first we've got to audit, does this look like a genuine account? If they've got 10,000 followers, how many likes are their pictures getting? So if those pictures are getting 300 to 500 likes or more, and the comments all look a bit genuine, it just adds up. I would say, right, that's a good measure to say, this account looks okay. So once you're past that, I would say you then need to look at who is this influencer appealing to? If they're a very young influencer, or if they've got very young followers, I don't know, 13 to 15-year-old girls are following this as a makeup type of influencer. Is it really going to do you any benefit if they're promoting your dental practice? Highly unlikely. So you've got to look at who their audience is. If the audience matches up, then you start a conversation. And the last part would be have a fixed contract. You do this, and I'm going to do this for you. Because then there's no, you know, they influencers have a habit of getting lazy once they get what they want. Very lazy, conveniently.
Bloody nightmare.
So you just get it in writing. You just get it in writing. You are going to do this on this day after treatment. There are some guidelines around this in terms of advertising regulation. So if you've given them treatment for free, you need to make this explicit. There's a guidelines around this. If you've given them a significant discount, you need to make it explicit. If it's a little bit off, if you're just saying, you know, I'm giving you £1,000 off and it's a £3,000 treatment, it's a bit grey area if you need to or not.
I've got a question here regarding TikTok. What are your thoughts on that?
I think
people of all ages being going on TikTok. I know when it first started, it was just teenagers, but now
I'm too old for that, Jazz. I ain't going on TikTok.
Not you, Grant. Not you. Don't worry. I wasn't thinking of you.
I'm not good looking enough.
My best advice is to go into your app store and uninstall it. No, I'm joking. Look, TikTok's got, with Instagram, we've just about got comfortable with showing our faces. Us sort of slightly older millennials, right? Just about. TikTok dancing and miming and lip syncing, there's a few people doing it, but I just still don't see it. I know you can get a lot of following from it, but I think you really need to be comfortable being quite silly and doing all of this and investing a lot of time in it. And it is a little bit unprofessional, if you ask me. My advice, I'm just not writing a book about TikTok anytime soon. So
didn't that dentist in America, didn't he do the old heart shape in his clinic? And he had about 200,000 or 2 million followers. And he was going to be massive. And then his missus came on and she did another TikTok saying, he's my man. and he isn't going for any of you women, and it just crashed overnight.
I didn't hear about that, but I'm not surprised. There's a lot of drama on TikTok like this.
Yes.
The appeal for TikTok is that the audience is huge. You know, we spoke about the dopamine release when you get a little heart like. And imagine if you're getting 48,000 likes in a matter of 24 hours, that feeling, I think some people get hooked on the fame rather than whether it's bringing in patients or not. There's lots of very average, normal, nice dentists on there that are doing all this. I think they enjoy it more than they're doing it for the business, you know.
That's why I'm doing it.
I've got some questions about websites and stuff, Jazz. Do you want to take some questions and then go on to websites? I don't know. What do you want to do?
Got this good one. Do you have an account on the practice name or the dentist name?
Always comes up this question. So if you have a practice, you definitely need an account with the practice name. If you can find the time to run an account for the principal, where the principal actually manages his own account, where you know it would be okay for him to post a picture of him walking with his children and his dog, you know, where he wants to show a bit of his personal life, then he should have that. I do know a few people who've got 2 accounts, but do not let that paralyze you. If you had to make a choice, definitely have a practice account. If you're able to, have a principal account as well and link the 2 together so you can tag each other in posts.
That's the thing, yeah. I mean, I've got my personal account and the practice account. The practice manager runs the practice account. I do the personal account, and you can share stories. It's fantastic. So that side of it is really good.
And Jazz, do you get patients contacting you on your personal account?
No, my personal account is mainly with dentists, because obviously me and Grant teach as well, and that's for dentists. The actual practice account is more for patients.
See, now there's merit in having your own personal account as well as the practice one. I've got a few dental friends that I know, they say we get more inquiries on our personal one than on the practice one, because people are recommending by their personal name sometimes. So I know all they do is just link to the practice one and say, could you fill in this form, or could you call this number? So they're responding. And I find the same thing. We've got a Digimax account. I'm a bit more active on my personal Shaz Memon, but I probably get 50% more inquiries on the Shaz Memon one, because they like to speak to a person, and then I just loop them back into the business. So there is merit if you can manage both.
Yes.
What about someone's asked about associates having their own, I'm talking about the legal side of things now, about associates having their own Instagram accounts, because there could be an argument at the end of the day about who owns the goodwill of the practice if they've procured the patient through their own marketing channels. What's your thoughts about that?
That's interesting. So I know you've got some views around this, because I saw one of your posts. But if you're going to go down any route of marketing a practice, if one of your associates, Grant, is going to market for you or list your practice name in any of their stuff, I think they need to have a nice open conversation with you and sit with the principal and say, this is what I want to do and this is why I want to do it.
Yeah.
Now, most principals, I think they're quite forward thinking, and they're seeing it as, I'm getting free marketing for the practice. I don't need to do anything. I should support this.
Yeah.
However, there is a sort of gray area who owns the patients that come in. If you get down that road, you know, I think that's one of the things that you need to have a conversation about. That you know, what would happen if you moved on? It's actually something that I've overlooked. I've never heard of anything go wrong in that regards, but certainly, you know, there's always a first. So have that conversation too with the principal.
Yeah, it's a new age thing as well, isn't it? You know, when I first started, we wouldn't have even advertised ourselves, never mind associates now putting time into market.
I mean, we've all heard one story of an associate starting their own practice and taking the patients with it. We've all heard that one story. I mean, I've heard it many times. So it can happen in this age. So Grant, I think it's a really good point. It's a really good point.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've got some more questions coming up. Do you want to talk about websites you mentioned, Grant?
Well, I'm just interested. There's a few things that I would like to bring up.
We've done Insta. Let's do about websites. Any questions you want to ask?
Full page and the full website, as in one landing page. Is there a move towards this single long website on a one page rather opposed to loads of pages? What's your thoughts about that?
Yes. So a single, for the audience, a single long page is, you know, you'll still have a menu at the top, but when you click it, it'll sort of slide down rather than opening a new page. It looks quite slick, but Google doesn't really like it very much because it doesn't know what importance to give that homepage, because that to Google, it just sees one long page and it's talking about everything. So it confuses Google a little bit. And what Google does is just doesn't give importance to any one of those treatments on your page because it feels it's equal. So for SEO, we really don't recommend it. The only time it would work is if you had a landing page, let's just say just for Invisalign, and then you ran pay-per-click ads or Facebook ads, and you just sent them to that one single page. That's the only time I would say it works.
I'm about to trial SmileMate. Now, how do you feel that works with a website? Things like SmileMate, you know, the chat boxes, Neen's chat box and that sort of stuff, which works brilliant on my site. Do you find that they add value for conversions on your websites? Do you think these add-ons are a good idea?
It depends what add-ons we're talking about. So we've seen every kind of add-on you can imagine, and before you know it, it can look like a Christmas tree of a website.
Yes, it can.
So getting the balance right is important. There's a few things. So we've got this success formula at Digimax, and there's some things that we'll do and some things we won't. Like people will say, can you do this pop-up with a special offer? We will usually say, no, that's a bad idea because it's quite intrusive. So you've got to pick and choose. WhatsApp web, highly, highly, highly successful. We would say that type of addition is good. A very good quality chatbot. So I've seen the one that Nin's done for you.
It's brilliant, really good.
I can see it's a very good quality chatbot. Sorry?
Yeah, Nin's chat box, it's amazing. The results
It is. I don't know if he's watching. He should come up and say something, but yeah, it's very, very good.
He's watching.
Is your backdrop going wrong there?
Yeah, no, it's my green screen. It's touching the light switch and it's like flashing. I'm not in a disco, don't worry.
So guys, Nin has got a chatbot called Inquiry Bot, and what he's done is it's almost like artificial intelligence. If someone lands on your website, you can have a conversation, because as a nation, we've become lazier. We want to do less. I say a lot in my webinars, scrolling is a currency, clicking is a currency. And what the chatbot does is when you get to the website, it's having a conversation with you and leading you through to the inquiry. Our goal on any website that we design, I think why we're so successful is we get the user to the contact form as quickly as possible, and we get the user to stay on the site as long as possible. So what the inquiry bot does is it allows us to do that probably 10, 15% faster, because it's engaging with you the minute you land on that site. So chatbot, WhatsApp web, SmileMate, in moderation, all of these. So these three, I would say, definitely work really well on our sites.
Yeah, I'm giving SmileMate a go next week.
SEO has to be really good. So there's no point having a great bot if no one's coming on your site. But one thing about SEO is what I wanted to ask is, how would you measure the ROI for the SEO?
So look, that's always been a really, really tough one, because traditionally ROI would be, I spent £1. When did I make that £1 back and more, right?
Yeah.
With pay-per-click, you can measure, did they actually call? And you can even record the call, and you can, get a form submission. The challenge with pay-per-click, and why I think a lot of people don't do it, is that the minute you stop paying, your ads stop. So it's this vicious cycle. 1 month you paid a lot, did you get the return? With SEO, we do get asked, what is the ROI? And for every single practice, it will vary. So for example, there's one practice that is in Weybridge. He called me up and he said, I've covered 3 years of SEO fee just from one client.
Yeah.
And then we've got another client who's in central London. He said, we've got 10 clients, 7 of them were time wasters. 3 of them went ahead with Invisalign treatment. That's covered 1.5 years of SEO investment. Yeah. So it varies. Our goal is that combining, we only offer SEO for sites that we've designed, because when we've done SEO for sites where we didn't design it, we rank them high. We always rank people out. It's very rare where we're not able to do that. But then the client says to us, but I'm still not getting more patients. And then if we say, well, you need a very good quality, high converting website, it ruins the relationship. So we feel Digibank site with SEO, or a very good quality, high converting site like yours, Grant, with SEO, you'll see the benefits of it. And the thing is, you can stop SEO after a period of time, but still see the benefits of it. So just to give you our example, we did SEO for Digimax for 2 years in a row, right? It's invested a lot of money, even though we've got all the resources. We rank now for dental marketing, dental SEO, dental websites, really, really high. And we get good conversion from it. But we've stopped now because we can't pay infinitely, and we still see the benefits of that. Whereas when we did pay-per-click, it was, keep paying for the same thing. So we chose SEO over pay-per-click, but in moderation, they all work very well.
So if you had 3 good and 3 bad, so if you look at a website with your eye, because it's so funny, I always know when it's your website without even seeing your name, not because they're the same, but because you get that feeling. I don't know how you do it. You get that dopamine release when you look at your websites. And I'd love to know, and we probably haven't got the time to go into that, but you do have a fluidity, a movement about your websites that makes you feel nice when you look at it. Now, what 3 things, good and bad, when you look at a website and you think that is pants and that is a winner? What are the things that the top sort of 3 on each?
Look, it's really nice to have a site that looks very good, right? People like all of that, but ultimately, if we go into a restaurant or a supermarket, most of our buying decisions aren't based around the interior so much. It just feels good. Ultimately, we need to get to what we want to get to as quickly as possible, right? So the site needs to be easy, especially in this era where apps have been made to be so easy and Instagram so fast and we're getting information so quickly. So for us, the most important thing, like this, we've got about 120 in our success formula, but the thing that really winds me up, and Jazz, you had this with your existing site, which was quite good. You get to the site and I have to do something. I have to click something to see its address. Yeah. I have to click something to find the phone number. I have to do some work to find out what makes this practice unique. Obviously, all dental practices offer something similar, but there are some things that stand out. And it's our job, because you're going to come to us with all the information and say, produce a brilliant website. And there's going to be a point where you're going to sign it off and say, I'm quite happy with that. It's our job to hear what you want, but give you what you need. So for example, Jazz, on his site, Jazz said to me, I train other dentists. I've been doing it for so long. I've got these accreditations. Surely it's a massive, massive USP if my dentist trains other dentists. But it was hidden in a little bio in some inside page. We pulled it out, put it on his homepage.
Like, is he a prize winner?
Yeah, we knocked up some fake little logo.
Did you buy it? Did you buy your prize, Jazz? Did you buy it?
Quite poignant.
I was under the influence.
So pulling out what makes the practice unique, and I know it's a term that's bashed around a lot. This is our USP. We make you feel good, but really, is it? You really need to work hard on that one. So contact details, don't make people work for it. That is a very easy one.
That's a really good point. Cool. Yeah, we've got so many questions over here, it's unreal. So we've got this one, which, how do you get the best out of professionally produced video? And a lot of dentists do this. They've got a bank of videos to post, but we want to make the most of it.
That's quite a broad question, how to get the best out of a professionally produced video. So let's just say the rules are, keep it short. There's so many videos I open, and even from people I care about a lot, but really if I get to the 10-second mark and I don't know where this is going, or I'm having to invest a lot of time, I'm just going to switch off. You've lost my attention completely. Get to the point very, very quickly. Secondly, thumbnail. That first view of that video is so important. If you've got something more interesting that happens in the video later on in the video, snapshot that and bring it to the first 1 second of your clip or millisecond, because that could be the thing that gets them to click or not. All of us have clicked something in intrigue. I get lots of WhatsApp from very silly people. I've clicked stuff that I shouldn't have, but it's that first picture that grabs your attention. So I'd say get that completely right. And thirdly, once you've got that right, look at length. No one other than my mother is going to watch a video that's 12 minutes long that I've sent to her, right? It's got to be 60 seconds or 120 seconds or 3 minutes at best. So short, thumbnail. I can't remember what the first one was, but yeah, look, just then distribute it on all the platforms that you're active on. That's what I'd say.
With stories, what I do now after being on your course, I'll clip them and sort of, because with Insta it's 15-second clips, but I try not to do them for longer than 30 seconds because you lose people's attention then, I feel. And putting them up on stories and sharing them everywhere. So do you think with stories, and you're getting a video testimonial from a patient, do you think 30 seconds is just right, or could it be longer?
in the first 30 seconds, make sure the real hard hitting stuff is there. But sometimes 30 seconds would not do justice to a testimonial, which is quite beautiful and powerful. So you could go longer. Now, IGTV, it's a separate app, but it's part of Instagram. So you can go into App Store, download IGTV. And what IGTV will allow you to do is place on their longer form content. So if you do have a 4-minute video testimonial and you feel it's quite important, there are going to be people that do want to watch this to the end, you could post it on IGTV, and IGTV is quite clever. You can then post a clip of it to your main Instagram account. So just download IGTV. Once you post a video on there, it leads you through it's quite intuitive. You could post a little clip onto your Instagram account, and then it will ask you after 60 seconds, do you wish to continue watching this? If you do, click here, and it takes them to IGTV, which is like a YouTube for Instagram.
Yes, I've seen that. That's phenomenal. Works really, because then you can post longer videos up, and especially if you've got a really good video testimonial. And is it a good idea to share your content from Insta to Facebook?
Yes, most of the time, yes. However, the Facebook audience is a bit different to the Instagram audience. So sometimes what you might need to do is, once you've shared it, you can, in Instagram, you can link it so that the minute you post it on Instagram, it goes to your Facebook account. For example, for our charity, when we do that, sometimes we will go into Facebook and quickly edit that post. So if we mention, like, for example, an Instagram post, you can't put a website address. Okay. You can say, go to my bio. On Facebook, you can put a link. So we'll quickly go into Facebook and then edit that post to include the website link if we want to, or maybe add some more pictures in. So sometimes it works, but sometimes you might just be better off writing a brand new post in Facebook.
And am I right? If you have more than 1,000 followers, you can put a link up in your story. Is that right? Or did I?
If you've got more than 10,000 followers, 10,000, you can put a link in your story.
Oh, I got a long way.
If you don't have 10,000, sorry, Jazz? Not there yet. 2 more to go.
No, a long way. I wish it was 2 more. A long way to go.
If you don't, I think 10,000 is a bit of a high number. They should make it like 2,000. But if you don't, you can put the link in your bio. So when I released my book, that was the most important link at the time. I put that link in my bio. And then in my posts, before I got to 10,000, I used to say link in bio. So some of you would have seen that. You can do that as well.
These are some fantastic tips you're giving away.
It's brilliant, isn't it?
I can go all night.
We've given you an easy time though, haven't we? It hasn't been too difficult.
Well, I've got to drive home as well, hour away. So
Really, really important question from Nin. That where you've got your branded logo behind you, is that a radiator?
Thank you, dude. Now I'm not going to be able to not look at that and think, bloody hell, that looks like a radiator. Thank you very much. It's not a radiator, by the way.
No, it's not a radiator. That's what I wanted to know. So we're good. We're good with that. And how do you always look with the perfect stubble? I have to ask you that.
There's a secret to that. So when my wife is doing her face mask, any leftovers, I splash it on my face, keeps me glowing.
Oh God, it's all happening now, isn't it? We got some more now. Okay, that's more on video. I think we've done a lot on video. And this is some really good ones over here, actually. We have said that. So people are getting tired of replying to time wasters. What should they do?
Fantastic. Fantastic. This is in my book, and I feel passionate about this one. We've all been somewhere, we've all been somewhere where we're ready to transact, maybe even a car showroom, and we've just not been given the attention, maybe because we look like crap that day, or God knows what. And it's very normal to get reply fatigue. So after a while, people are just asking you, they're so rude sometimes, what's the price of Invisalign? Nothing else, just what's the price? Or, ask something and they don't even respond sometimes. So naturally, as human beings, you get worn down and you start to think everyone's like that. Mm-hmm. I would say before you get into that, just put that aside. There's a solution to this. Think of every question someone could ask you. Usually it's going to be around speed, availability, cost, how you feel, all the common questions they'll ask you. Now, with all your passion, go into a Word document or something, write up the replies that you would give to someone if you're feeling 10 out of 10, you're well fed that day, well rested. Write that reply, read that reply, see if you get to the point very quickly, because you're on Instagram now, so they're not going to read essays, right? It's going to be short, to the point. Get a list of all of these. Then in Instagram, there's a feature called quick replies. You can save every single one of these in quick replies. So next time someone asks you, how much is it? You're always replying with full enthusiasm from the practice owner. And you got to remember, users are also feeling a bit tired. They don't want to have a conversation in case you don't reply, because there's a lot of rubbish business out there. Don't reply on time or reply half-heartedly. So it goes both ways. Quick replies will solve that for you.
I didn't even know that. I read that night before last, actually, back from your book. That was a brilliant tip. I've started doing that now.
Brilliant.
I know they have that on WhatsApp Business, but they do that on Instagram as well. So that's a really useful.
It is. Yeah, I didn't know it existed.
Yeah.
It's a game changer for many, because a lot of people just sort of stop replying because they're fed up. They work too hard for this. That's what they've told me.
The question is, this is great, I get it, but I do not have the time. Is this like you can schedule posts? Is there something that you could do like that?
Fantastic. So when I put this book out, a lot of people said, this is great, I get it all, but I don't have the time, or I can't be like these people who love showing off. It's just not me. I've proved time and time again that with 10 minutes a week, only 10 minutes a week, you could run an Instagram account and still feel and look active enough. So either you, or give it to someone within your practice, if you're a practice owner, who could do this with their eyes shut, follow the strategies in the book. I mean, the reason I'm mentioning book is not just to sell more. It's an actually useful guide, and all profits go to the charity anyway. But in the book, I've spent 9 months writing this. In there, I've given you tips on how you can go about doing this. So 10 minutes a week is all you need to do. And in terms of scheduling posts, if you're an organized type of person, there's lots of apps I mentioned in my book, like later.com or Hootsuite. You could schedule 2 weeks worth of posts if you want to.
There you go, guys. 10 minutes a week. So you can't argue that you don't have time. Just 10 minutes is all it takes. 10 minutes a week.
I don't even spend that on my own Instagram account. I don't even spend 10 minutes a week.
And I guess the more you do it, the faster you'll get at it, and the better you'll get, because you'll be more familiar with the app. So you'll be able to do so much more. And the key thing is enjoy it. If you enjoy it, it's not going to feel like 10 minutes.
No,
exactly. Difference. How do I target my ideal client?
First, you got to know what your ideal client is, very, very, very specifically. Okay. Where does your ideal client eat? What type of holidays does your ideal client go on? Where does your ideal client live? What other type of brands does your ideal client engage in? Once you get that picture, and you've got to be specific, don't make this stuff up, right? Really think about the patients that come into your practice where you would say they're my ideal clients. And ask yourself, and this is an exercise that we do in our newer workshops, where we ask everyone, tell us what your patients write down about why they like you. Do they like, I'm talking about your ideal clients, do they like that you spend a lot of time with them? Do they like that you're a family man? Whatever it is, or family woman, write down what that is. So if you want to target more people like that, your Instagram profile needs to look like that, okay? And you need to be similar to some of the brands that they interact with. So if you're a luxury practice and your ideal clients, you're in a particular part of town, these people stay in the 4 seasons, your feed needs to look luxe. So they feel like, yeah, this is part of the club of services or companies that I work with. So identify who they are. Don't just say, yeah, they've got to have a bit of disposable income. That's not precise enough, because you can't design your posts around that. So have a clear definition of who they are.
That's fantastic. That's so useful. I mean, I know the ideal client, we've talked about it in the past, and if you aim for that client, it really does make a difference. Grant, have you got anything, or shall we let him go home?
Mate, I've thoroughly enjoyed meeting you, and you haven't disappointed.
I've made so many notes myself. So many.
I have, yeah.
Do action tomorrow.
I got 1 cent. I was a chosen few.
I paid some money and went on his.
Don't get started.
I saved that question, but I'm not going to ask it. You're too nice.
No, you know what? This is the difference. I know this isn't in person, but this is the first time we're seeing each other face to face like this. I must say, I'm so glad we did this, because in the absence of that, there's so many different things you can think about, the written word. So I really appreciate you've done this. I'm so glad I got to meet you. And I must say, well done on creating your group, because I can't even begin to imagine how much time that takes.
Mhm.
When you annoyed me once, I thought, you know what, I'm going to create my own group. And then I thought, 5 minutes later, there's no chance I'm going to do that because it takes bloody hours. So well done. Thank you, because you help so many people.
Bless you. That's very kind of you. Thank you very much.
Yeah,
Liz, and thank you for coming on tonight. You know,
Thank you so
I've enjoyed it big time.
I hope everyone, the feedback's been coming through now. It's been absolutely fantastic. You've shared so many tips, you know, you've got so much knowledge on so many different topics, and I hope it's been really useful for all those dentists listening. We had so many registrations. It is going to be recorded, so we can put up the link and maybe put it up in your group. So if people couldn't make it, we understand commitments, family. So it is going to be recorded, so this can be shared out to everyone. And look out for the next one. We're going to have this on the